these functions, linear, logarithmic, exponential, and power, you can take any data set and try to slap on these formulas and see if they work, okay? And then you just see which one fits best. That's like the basic thing you can do with statistics. So power for sure is fantastic. 96% R squared. Been talking about it for me 6 years now. That's power. Let's draw an exponential curve on the same data and let's see how it looks. Okay, for now I'm going to draw that as a green line here. Okay. Starting to hopefully see the difference. This green line takes the exact same inputs as the black line. That is price. We're just manipulating the green line according to exponential growth, not according to power growth, which most sensible people in Bitcoin can see that that's how it's growing. It's not growing exponentially. It's growing in power. So look now what that will do. All right. If it was growing exponential, we had all the data and we can fit it the best we can possibly fit it mathematically, the curve will run through the data this way. But there's some problems here. Let's not even talk about the math. Let's just look visually at the problems. First of all, it does in the whole like run through the data. We can see it runs through it fine. But look at how the green line looks from here. And look at how the green line looks from here. Both earlier and later times. You know, it can certainly hit the data at certain spots, but for a long period, both at the beginning and the end, it doesn't hit anything at all. Now, people are trying to say, for whatever reason, I don't know, grifting or whatever, that the jury is still out on this, that somehow exponential is like the key to Bitcoin's growth and it's just going to grow exponentially. And by the way, I'm sorry to say, but stock to flow is a form of exponential. It's a decaying exponential, but it's an absolute similar idea as exponential. But regardless, whoever's speaking about Bitcoin growth, the idea with exponential is they want to give you a number of exponential growth to say this is how it's going to grow in the future. But you have to ask, has that been the way that it's grown in the past? And is it likely to grow that way in the future? Is it likely? So again, beginning, power curve looks great fitting through the data. And power curve looks great fitting through the data. Exponential hasn't fitted, for long periods of time, 3 years, 700 days more, maybe 800 days. We haven't even hit exponential. And of course, I'm not saying that it's never going to hit this green line again. We could have a huge boom this year. We could go to 1 million. All right, let's just pick end of 2025. If Bitcoin follows an exponential curve by the end of 2025, it's going to maybe tap that. Those are two independent statements, by the way. It could still tap 743,000 and not be on exponential at all, or it could somehow magically, which is basically what this comes to at this point, catch this curve and stay on it in the future and hit at 750,000 by the end of 2025. Again, I'm not putting numbers to what you're seeing here. I'm just like, let's look visually how each one looks. You can see that exponential doesn't look as good as power. It just simply doesn't visually, qualitatively, it doesn't look as good. And even if we look at the R squareds, which again, the same principle applies. R squared is just the goodness of fit. And that percentage, if you want to interpret it another way, let's take off the power. Exponential, if you want to look at how the data moves around the green line, the exponential line, the straight line on log linear, which shows you it's exponential. Exponential growth is this curve. And 86% is saying the price moves around the green line 86% better with less variation than it moves around the average, if we just do a straight line of the average of all Bitcoin prices. Okay? So it's certainly 86% is better than 30% R squared. It's not a terrible R squared, in fact, but not nearly as good as 96% R squared. It's better than moving around the average. That's true. We can draw an exponential curve that's decently fitting, but just again, qualitatively from the beginning to the end, it doesn't hit it at all.